Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Blevin-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today we're going to do part 2 of billing in a new clinic, and if you haven't seen the first part of this video, I encourage you to do so because it will definitely make sense. I'm trying to review all the steps that kind of have to go on in order for you to be able to start billing for your new clinic, sending out claims. And the first part is kind of what happens before you open your doors and right when you open your doors. And now I'm going to start talking about the second part, which is reviewing all the claims that start coming in after they have been submitted to the payers. Now, this is a process that should not be overlooked. It should definitely be given the proper amount of time and attention because this is where you're going to find a lot of places that are going to need a little bit more finessing or things that need to be fixed right away that you don't want to snowball out of control. And you have to remember that your billing is the backbone of your business. If you don't have money coming in, then you can't keep your doors open. You're not going to be able to pay your vendors, your staff, and yourself. And unfortunately, this seems to be a place that a lot of doctor owners neglect, and they don't understand the importance of finding someone who really understands this, is really good at paying attention to detail, and also understanding how to be able to fix the issues that they're finding. You have to have almost like a watchdog, a guard dog, someone who is watching, eager, understanding, and they'll go after it to fix it and not stop until it's fixed. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've probably been blacklisted at a few payers a few times, but I am going to tell you I ultimately get what I want, or at least get a response and feel satisfied at the end. It's very rare that I ever let something go and don't feel satisfied. I at least get to a point where there's enough resolution or compromise that I will move on, but I do not move on until I can advocate and get what I need for my owners, for my doctors, and also for my patients when it comes to authorizations and referrals and that kind of thing. So it's on both sides, but we're talking about billing now, so this is about the owners and my bosses essentially. Now, when claims start coming in from payers, hopefully you're also seeing checks and payments. So, you know, in my previous video, we talked about enrolling in electronic fund transfers for those payments and electronic remittance advices. So if you are getting kind of some in the mail and old school paper and some electronically, you want to make sure that you have a process of where you're either communicating with the people who are overseeing the electronic parts that are coming in or receiving those checks and EOBs, and you want to make sure that you're setting eyes on it and you're running proper reports. Just because you're not maybe doing in-house billing or have someone in-house doing all of your billing does not mean you shouldn't have somebody dedicated in your office overseeing the billing and making sure that the billing company or the RCM services through your EHR are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Weekly meetings with whomever is in charge of it and overseeing it in your office, as well as with whomever is actually doing the work or the bulk of the work, needs to be is a must. It needs to be established. Having at least weekly meetings for at least the first few months until things really start up and running and not a lot of issues occur. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to catch a lot of things until you start seeing those claims coming back, and that's when you're going to have someone who is problem solving and jumping on that and getting it fixed right away. Now, I'm not going to lie, during the pandemic and with the lack of people working at a lot of these insurance companies, it has been like pulling teeth to get answers from people, communicating with people effectively, even getting through to people. A lot of things have gone through email, which is just a disaster because people just sit there and go through their email and they get to it when they get to it. And it's just very frustrating and it's very hard. We've kind of entered a whole nother realm of lack of customer service, in my opinion, but it is what it is, and you just find ways to try to deal with it. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes you will get further with things if you as the doctor actually call and not just have someone like your billing manager or your billing staff call. Unfortunately, there's still that title thing that goes on, and sometimes dropping that you're the doctor calling from your own practice will go a long way. So keep that in the back of your mind. If your manager comes to you and says, look, I've tried everything, this is our next attempt, and this is what I need you to do, you need to do it, because like I said, it affects your bottom line. Okay. So you have claims coming in, and you're having those meetings, hopefully between, or at least if you can't participate, which I highly encourage you to make the time to participate if you can, but at least your manager or someone you trust is participating in this meeting, and you make sure that they are bringing their questions and that they are able to answer the questions that you have. And I would never ever think that you wouldn't be able to see things that you want to see, because it's your billing, your patients, your business. And they should always be willing to be as accommodating to you, to show you whatever you need to see instead of just telling you. I'm one of those people, you can tell me, but I still want to see it because I want to see the proof. And it's not that I think people lie, and it's not that I think that there's anything malicious, but I just want to be sure, and that's how I make sure, is if I can see it, I can understand it, and I can make sure. So I encourage someone to be laying eyes on it that understands and that can ensure that what you're being told is actually being done or has been done. Those meetings are a good time to talk about things that are outstanding, things that are looking like trends that are coming in, things that maybe their staff is struggling with having done and maybe needing some assistance from you, those kinds of things. I have worked with multiple RCM managers that are through the EHR side. So I've worked with clients who they have paid for the extra RCM services through their EHR, and I'm part of those weekly meetings. And I can't tell you how many times I have been complimented on how responsive I am when they send emails with questions, or how fast I am at doing my portion of the billing work that they need to have done in order for them to do their portion, because I guess a lot of doctors' offices neglect this, and that really is sad, and it really scares me. And that's why I really want to put it out there that if you're going to put any time and attention into any parts of your practice, it has to be your billing and your revenue cycle, because that's what's going to keep you going and keep you alive. As long as you have patients coming in the door and you are staffed, you definitely need to make sure you're not neglecting this side, or you have someone you trust in charge of making sure that this gets done. I know you're only one person, that's why it's important to have a manager or a billing manager or someone you trust overseeing it that knows the questions to ask and understands the process very well, and that they can work well with whomever you've hired and put in charge of doing the bulk of your billing. Now, when those claims are coming through, I like to run reports on CPT by payer. So I want to see what's being reimbursed by payers, so I can compare if 99203 from Blue Cross and how it's being reimbursed by HealthNet versus United Healthcare. And I want to make sure that when I'm checking those, that I'm also looking at the contracts from the payers and that they're upholding what they say they will reimburse for with these codes. So there's kind of a two-part to that. You also want to look at denial codes, or the codes that come on the EOBs or the ERAs of why something isn't paid or not reimbursed at the highest part it should. There's codes that could say it's going to patient deductible. It's higher than the allowed amount, which is very common if you're billing higher than the allowed amount, which I encourage you to do. If it's not a covered service on the patient's plan, if they're not covered at all at your practice because they have an HMO, or maybe it's because some codes were billed together or bundled together that shouldn't be, or it's a code that is no longer billable. I mean, there's so many things that are out there, and so it's so important to look at that and go, okay, what do I have control over? What needs to change on the end before the claims get sent out? What needs to be addressed or brought to any doctor's attentions or the front office attention or communicated to patients before they receive a service? Those are the things that you're going to have to be looking for and paying attention to. Maybe you're getting a lot of rejected claims because your front office staff is not spelling patient names correctly and they can't find them in the system and it made it through the clearinghouse. Or maybe they're not updating insurances and you're getting rejections because they're not active insurances that are in the system and they get sent out and they're like, whoa, sorry, they're not covered by us anymore. Maybe you're getting things from Medicare that say, hey, we forward this on to a secondary payer, but you don't have a secondary payer on file for that patient. Well, then you need to have your staff call that patient and say, hey, thank you so much. We have your Medicare insurance, but we were informed that you have a secondary. Can we collect that information from you? Because although Medicare forwards on the claims to the secondary, you still need to have it in your system. There's those kinds of things, and there's so many different things. I can't even tell you all of the possibilities, but that's why you need someone who can be meticulous, they can go through it, and they also can be the point of contact for the other side of who's working those ERAs and putting that information in, because there's only going to be so much that they can do. Maybe in your contract they don't call insurances when there's denied claims, so maybe that's on your end that somebody needs to do. Or maybe they don't talk to patients about their balances on their accounts, which a lot of them don't, so that means someone in your office will have to. Maybe they don't pay attention to how often they're sending out statements to patients, so you need to make sure you have someone in the office looking at that. You really need someone who understands the revenue cycle to be able to manage it, to make sure that all aspects that need to be looked at and controlled and monitored is being done. So this whole looking at denied claims or even paid claims that are coming through to make sure you're being reimbursed properly, making sure that you're coding things appropriately. A lot of times maybe they're only paying on certain codes in a claim but not others, so you need to find out why. Or maybe you have multiple providers in your office and some payers are paying on some of those claims but not claims from other providers, so you have to call the insurances and find out why they're not paying for some providers under your group contract but they are for others. Or there's just so many different things, and it's very time consuming because calling the payers can take a long time. Going through everything and looking at it and answering it and fixing it can take a long time. I have spent a whole 8 to 9 hour day without a break just looking through stuff and fixing things and calling on things and trying to figure out how something went wrong and if it can be fixed in the upstream before it gets downstream. It's just very time consuming, and in a sick way I kind of like it because it's very gratifying, because usually you can find the answer and you can fix it, but you do need somebody who is detail oriented, understands the process, and can dedicate the time to it. And that can be really difficult for a manager who's wearing multiple hats or needing to help cover in different positions and also in charge of all these other things, because it is something that needs total 100% focus, and it's something that shouldn't be neglected. So part 2 is mainly about making sure that when those claims are coming in, you're reviewing the payments, you're making sure you're getting paid from every payer of what you should be, you're making sure that any of the rejection codes or codes on the claims are something that can be addressed upstream. Then you make sure that happens, you communicate to the providers, and you just fix anything that can be resubmitted right away so you're not delaying that payment even more. It will also help give you an idea how fast payers are actually reimbursing you, and also where patients are maybe in their deductible, if you need to put pop-ups, if your front desk isn't collecting co-pays, and that you make sure that you're fixing that in the upstream, and just able to address a lot of things when it comes to workflows and things that you can prevent to make sure that you're getting reimbursed at the highest possible way on the back end. Smash the thumbs up button if you liked this today. If you have any hints or tricks or any kind of other experience in your own practice on how you've handled this workflow and this responsibility, please leave that in the comments below. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Also in the comments, if you like this but you want me to do videos on another topic, please leave that in the comments, because I'm always looking for ideas and trying to make sure that I am able to help you be a successful private practice owner. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.